I'm going to teach you how to maximize your webcam's quality for free in OBS. I'll cover the only 3 settings you need and how to tweak them to get the best image possible. Now, obviously, before all this, you'll need to make sure that your resolution and frames per second are set to whatever settings you'll eventually stream or export to. So let's get into the big 3 settings: exposure, white balance, and gain. The first setting to adjust is exposure. Exposure is the amount of time the camera lets light in before producing an image. When it's too low, obviously the image will be too dark. When it's too high, you get 2 problems. First, it causes frame rate drops. This is because the camera is waiting so long to take in light, it can't keep up with 60 FPS. Secondly, you get a delay between the time you move and the time you see movement on screen, since again, it's waiting to take in more light before spitting out the image. And obviously a third problem, the whites blow out due to overexposure, of course. To fix these issues, first, turn off any auto exposure settings. In general, auto settings are bad. The only auto setting that I'd really leave on is autofocus, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Whether it's a tick box or right light, whatever, just no auto. Then lower this bar down to where the frame rate has no stutter and the image is still bright enough. For example, on my Brio, -5 is usually a good number for my 2 light setup unless there's a lot of light coming in from the window, but it really depends on the lighting situation. So every time I open OBS, I tweak these settings manually. If you cannot get a setting that's bright enough without frame rate drops, then the issue is the lighting, not the webcam or settings. So I've linked 3 lighting tips in my description to help you solve that issue. Setting number 2 is white balance. This determines if the white in your image appears more blue or more red. Again, turn off auto white balance. That's super important. If for nothing else, to stop your webcam from going from like a blue to a red in the middle of your shot, and then you go like when you look at it back, especially if you're uploading to YouTube, and then you have all these different shades of colors all over your video, even though you're sitting in the same spot with the same lighting. If you want to edit something and then move a part from later to earlier in the video or vice versa, you're just gonna have all kinds of problems. You're gonna have to color grade this. Just turn off auto white balance. You can just slide this so that the white appears in the middle where it's not too blue and not too red. There's a more correct way to do this, but webcams are kind of finicky on this. This is more for like DSLRs or mirrorless cameras. What you can do is you can hold a white sheet of paper up in front of the camera, and what that'll do is it will make the camera auto adjust its color to that white based on whatever light you have, so that it'll be auto like that. Then you untick the auto so it will stop changing. After that, you take the white sheet of paper away and now it's locked in. Problem is, depending on what webcam you have, this doesn't actually work. When you untick auto, it might just go back to whatever slider it was on before. So if your webcam can do that, great. If not, just adjust it manually until it looks good to you. Setting number 3 is gain. Now, gain and brightness do similar things, but I won't get into the specifics here. Gain is how sensitive your camera is to light. The higher the gain, the brighter your image looks, but also the grainier it looks. Turn off auto gain if you have a setting for it, and keep this as low as possible without the image being too dark to reduce artifacting. Brightness is artificial light added to your picture. I tend to leave this in the middle. Gain is the main one to watch out for. And those are the 3 main settings to improve your camera's quality in OBS or any streaming software. Make sure to combine them with the 3 lighting tips I've mentioned in my previous video linked in the description to instantly and dramatically enhance the way your image looks. If you're interested in more stream tech gear reviews, consider subscribing. I'll be uploading my Elgato ring light review and the Elgato 4K 60S Plus review in the coming weeks on this channel. See you in the next review.